Double checking we're live. Hasn't gone live yet on YouTube. Hopefully it's just about to go live yet. We're here. Double checking we're live. Let me mute myself. And yeah, we're all good to go. So obviously BG not available tonight. Yeah, so he's on a inverted commas work commitments in the United States. So I've sent him the link. Hopefully he can join us. I'm joined here tonight by with Jay. Irish Tom should be jumping on very, very soon. No Paul tonight, unfortunately. A few things to get out of the way just before we crack on with the boxing. It's quite a stacked agenda. There's been a lot of news, little parts of news. So we'll kind of discuss that, even if it is just me and Jay tonight. Thank you very much for subscribing. Tom's just jumped on as well. We'll go to him after. Thank you very much for 300 subscribers. Really appreciate the people that are tuning in tonight. Big shout out to you guys. And yeah, without you, this wouldn't be possible. Anyone from last week who is lingering and wants to send any of us three abuse in this podcast, you can fuck off right now. I don't really have the time to be dealing with that, and I think the other two guys will be unanimous in that sort of decision. And yeah, let's get cracking. Last week's action, we have the bumper card that was in Liverpool, Matchroom card by Eddie Hearn, and Maurice Briedis versus Mike Perez. So let's go to Jay first, and hopefully he's watched the fights and he can give us a rundown of how he felt the boxing was over the weekend. Over to you.
Well, it's a shame. BG on his working holiday with Mrs. BG. I don't really know how that works. So there must be an interwork relationship going on there. One message: you should never mix business with pleasure. That's the downfall of many a great man. I hope he's listening. Going back to the fights. So Davis, I mean, he looked good, didn't he, Jet? I think he looks sharp. He's got that lovely range. I still think he's looking for that big punch. I don't know whether he was trying to make a statement when he comes out. I mean, he certainly did make a statement, but really, to what extent against the fight he was against? You know, he misses quite a lot. You know, he swings too much, and I don't know whether Josh Taylor, from that performance, I don't know whether Josh Taylor is that good. He's really good, you know, and he's going to be super elite, or that you know, O'Hara is just at that level where it's just, you know, he's a very good fighter, and Josh Taylor, sorry, he's an elite fighter. I'm not so sure. I mean, it should have been stopped a lot earlier. It was pretty brutal at times. That kid, you know, the first knockdown, you could see he was all over the place. I mean, the bell rang not long afterwards. So he has the right, and he should be given the opportunity to go again in the second round. But for me, it went on a little bit too long. But I still do think that O'Hara Davies has massive gaps in his game. He's got a lot of, I think he needs to use that jab. He tends to flick that jab from low. I think Paul Smith said, I think Paul Smith said it was a good way of doing a jab because you can't see it and it's effective, but he seems to just flick it out a little bit and then goes for those big Hail Mary shots. And I just think that someone, again, with some sort of good boxing ability is gonna find him out, and he's gonna get found out again when he steps up again to that top end level. So if anything, it probably shows that Josh Taylor is a very exceptional fighter.
Yeah, so, what I will say about OD quickly is that I think what you said is right. He has a lot of flaws in his game, and I think, you know, the jab, he should be using it because he's got ridiculously long arms for a super lightweight or a light welterweight. So he should be using that first and foremost. But for me, you know, Josh Taylor is a top fighter. You know, we've been talking about him on BG's channel for a while. But, you know, O'Hara Davies lacks fundamental variety. You know, he is exciting, don't get me wrong, and I like his style. But, you know, punch variety, he's sorely really lacking. He should have had Tom Farrell out there probably in the first round, to be honest, if not the second round. And the fight itself kind of broke down in maybe a similar fashion to the beating that Nick Blackwell took against Chris Eubank Jr. It kind of reminded me how game he was. Tom Farrell was very, very game, and he should have, his corner at least should have saved him for another day. But yeah, that's kind of a different part.
His output's not great either, though.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
There's not enough work coming from him, and he has a certain composure. And when he connects with those big shots, they're big and they are hard. But it's against someone like Farrell, he's gonna connect those shots against a higher elite level fighter. Because there were times he was missing. There were times he was missing even in that fight. So you wonder when he does get against again another top elite fighter in his weight, he's gonna come unstuck again, because I don't see where the improvement is going to come from. And he was a lot bigger in that fight. Big shoulders, big top half. But he's got those natural attributes which he should develop more and use more. But coming off the back of a loss, was he there to make a statement, to make a point? It wasn't a real massive test for him. So where he goes, he's just got to carry on, and it's just, I suppose, it's just a building fight really for him, to be honest.
Yeah, going down sort of the card, what do you think of, obviously, Paul Butler versus Stuart Hall in a rematch? Rocky Fielding got a blowout over David Brophy, won the Commonwealth title in the process. What do you think of those fights as well?
I mean, what do you learn from that? I mean, Fielding was a funny fight because I thought Brophy would take him a lot further, and even have half a chance in that fight. So it was a good win in some senses for Fielding. It finished a lot earlier than a lot of people expected. He's a funny fighter, Fielding, because he does keep those hands low. He's quite accurate, but they don't. His shots doesn't look like he's got big power in those shots. They didn't seem like really thudding shots, but they're obviously making some sort of effect. He's quite quick, but not overly quick. He's switched trainer. So he's with Jamie Moore, who seems to be the flavour of the month now, and maybe that's the answer to all these boxers' prayers. Is Jamie Moore? Maybe he's the second coming. I didn't see the Butler fight. I watched.
Probably for the best, mate. Probably for the best. I'll be honest.
Yeah, long one, wasn't it? I saw Conor Benn.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch that fight. I got in late from work, but if you could fill me in on Conor Benn, I'd be interested.
Conor Benn, we haven't seen him in a while apart from that fight at the he was at Bethnal Green, wasn't he? But
yeah,
he seems to have gained a lot more composure now. A lot more timing in his work, taking his time, rather when new pros come into the game and they want to impress and they're on a big stage, they rush their work, which he did a lot of, overcrowding, looking for the knockout. There was a lot more composure in what he did, which shows that at least he's making step forwards. I don't know whether he's going to be a top fighter. I don't know whether he's got it in him, like skills-wise. I know, obviously, there's always, every time he fights, there's a comparison to his dad. He's not his dad by a long shot. But saying that, I think he can get to a certain level because he has shown some sort of improvement. How much more improvement there's going to be to come from him, I don't really know. Only time will tell. But there was definitely an improvement in composure and a nice hand right down the pipe, put his man down, and you're fighting an unbeaten fighter. Again, you can only cliche, but you can only beat what's put in front of you. But over time, we'll see. But I'm not convinced he will be a top end fighter.
Cool. I'll probably have to watch that sometime, in the week. But I will get around to watching that, I guess. Did you happen to catch Perez versus Briedis?
I did. Perez, he looks like a heavyweight fighter that's come down to cruiserweight for me. Really static, You know, tried to start off using his jab. He fights like a heavyweight. You know, he's got real no movement. He's got head movement, but he's got no footwork at all. Briedis was a lot lighter on his feet, can move in and move out. And the first couple of rounds, you know, there wasn't much in it. It was a very messy fight. That both of them couldn't really get their work off. There was a lot of pulling the head down. There was a head clash where Perez lost a point. They were spoiling each other's work, getting too close. So it was quite a hard fight to score to start off with. I think, you know, it's just Perez. I know that BG is pretty high on him. For me, I don't see it at all. I don't see it at all. I know. Is it Garcia?
Yeah, Gassiev.
Yeah, he like that Perez is like, you know, he's going to be a real big opponent in that division, you know, and he will, you know, possibly win a world title. I don't see it at all. He's got no foot movement. As I said, he fights like a heavyweight in a smaller body. He looks a bit too top heavy now, muscle wise, and it seems to restrict his movement a little bit too much. And I don't think his stamina's improved that much. Whether that was because we know he's got natural stamina, you know, problems in the past historically, or that the lot of the grabbing and the holding that was happening maybe tired him out. But for me, both fighters weren't impressive. It wasn't a great fight. It was very messy. And the winner, Briedis, will go on to fight Usyk. And I think Usyk, he's just got too much movement, too much timing for him. So I think it'll be Usyk straight into that final.
Yeah, I thought Perez showed that he could hang with the top guys, you know, at cruiserweight, even though he has some deficiencies in his game, i.e. stamina. So Perez showed, you know, he's a capable operator even at cruiserweight. Whether or not he'll go back up to heavyweight, that's kind of a different story. But yeah, hopefully he gets some good.
I think he can, Jet. I think he can stick with them because he's a tough guy, obviously. But there's just not enough there. You know, there's nothing that made me go, wow, you know, I can see why this guy's could come down to cruiserweight, because his shots are not aggressively quick. He tried to use his jab, as I said, as much as possible. But as I said, there's no footwork. There's no foot. He will stand in the middle of the ring and walk you down like a very big heavyweight. You know, that's the way he tends to fight. And you find a lot more of the cruiserweights now have a lot more movement than a lot of the heavyweights. I don't think he could go back up, to be honest, because he looks like he's boiled down. And I don't think he would go back up. You know, I just don't see it from him. I wasn't really overly impressed, especially when that's such a big opportunity. I think he was getting quite frustrated though with the Italian ref. I think the Italian ref was letting a lot go from on Briedis' side, and I think he was getting very frustrated by it and found it very difficult. And as the fight went on, as I said, he started to get a lot more tired, possibly because of what Briedis was doing with his putting his arm around the back of his head and pulling him down. And every time they went to exchange, it just got into a messy clinch, didn't it? And it's difficult for any fighter really when that's the sort of fight. But Briedis looked the one that was in control throughout the fight, and he was happy to fight like that. I feel like Perez was getting frustrated because he just couldn't get any work off.
Yeah, definitely not the most appealing fight to watch, let's put it that way. But yeah, Briedis obviously moves on, faces Alexander Usyk in the semi-finals of the WBSS. Has a chance for 2 world titles. He's obviously holding the WBC version. Usyk holds the WBO, so you know, chance for Briedis to potentially get another belt. But for me personally, I think Usyk's a bit too much. And this fight kind of showed it, you know. Briedis, you know, if he's trying to hug, basically, because he was trying to hug Perez a lot in this fight. If he's trying to do that to Usyk's naturally a bigger man, and Usyk just has a better judgment and range for me. So,
and he's better on his feet. He's got more movement. You know, even it shows when Briedis was the fighter that was on his toes. in that fight, you know. And Briedis is not really renowned for superb movement and superb footwork. So I just think that Usyk would just dominate him. You know, I think Briedis is going to have to chase that fight, whereas he possibly didn't have to do as much against Perez.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there, mate. You know, I think Usyk's just a bit too much. I think he'll win the tournament. But yeah, that's kind of my breakdown. That's Jay's breakdown of last weekend. Coming to the main man, the Irish and Rio takeover. Irish Tom, floor is yours.
How's it going, lads?
Irish, sound a bit quiet. Let me try and turn the volume up there.
Can you hear me now?
Still very quiet. Jay, are you hearing that or?
Quiet. It's really quiet.
Really quiet.
Possibly a good thing. I don't know.
Nah. The fans need to hear Irish. They need to hear him. Let me just try and turn it up. No. Trying to think how to turn it up, but no. Irish, give us a sound check again.
Oh, he's gone completely now.
Irish, you're going to have to jump off and jump back on, mate, by the looks of it. Just do that and we'll bring you in as soon as that goes on. All right. Yeah, I'll kind of give my breakdown of some of the fights that I didn't get to discuss because Jay was having his say. Butler versus Hall. Obviously, you know, Butler, for me, he looks like a small bantamweight. He's not, he's certainly not the biggest. Thought he was catching Hall with some nice shots, but, you know, he needs to pick his shots a little bit better against the top guys because he leaves his chin open. You know, sometimes he walks back in a straight line sometimes, and you know he's there to be caught. And I don't think he's the top guy in Britain, let alone the world. So yeah, Butler versus Hall, not a great fight. Irish, you're back. Give us a sound check.
Hello, can you hear me?
Perfect, mate.
Whee!
The floor is yours. Go for it.
How's it going, boys? What we talk about?
Last weekend's action. So your best mate Matchroom card in Liverpool, including Fielding versus Brophy, Conor Benn, you know, all the usual suspects, and Briedis versus Perez. Did you get to catch any of those fights by any chance?
Yeah, I watched a bit of O'Hara Davis. I still don't know why is he wearing a purse on his wrist? Does anybody know that?
I don't know. That's something you'd probably have to ask Tony Sims, Eddie Hearn, and OD himself.
I don't understand why anybody would wear, especially a boxer, thinking of getting the way of his gloves. You know, O'Hara Davis doesn't look to have made any adjustments. Didn't show any variety. He was in against a guy who was much smaller than him and who basically had never fought really anybody of note. So, you know, what do you learn from that? It's just a build-up fight. But he didn't display any. Did anybody else think he showed anything new?
No,
not really.
I was saying that he's still swinging for the hills, you know, and his output is poor.
He just won't make it to world level with that kind of variety. You know, you can't be doing that against a European level operator, a fringe world level operator. They will pick you apart, you know, and you obviously want to see him go far. He has a big mouth and whatnot. He gets the knockout against these, you know, lesser guys, but against the top guys, you can't be going in swinging like that. It doesn't make for good viewing, and eventually he's going to get knocked out. You know, he's a knockout waiting to happen. I think Ultra Tech also did the same thing.
I think he's one of those kind of fighters who is kind of naturally athletic, if you know what I mean. He's got gifts for like he's got long arms and he's got a bit of power, but he doesn't have a boxing brain, it doesn't seem.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't seem like a guy who he seems like a guy who every time he's sparring guys and he's able to hurt them with a jab and just hit them with a right hand, you know. But then, like, what good is that to you? You go into a fight with a fella who's able to just and take away your big right hand. It just means that you're at sea, especially if they can hit. So, you know, what are you going to do? He's never going to be a world level. He might look a world title, but he won't be defending a world title 6 or 7 times, or he won't ever beat anybody, you know, who we think is one of the best in the world. I don't think, unless he gets a bit lucky. He might knock someone out.
I think it's these fights, though, isn't it, that draws the attention to him, and almost build his own self-confidence, you know, and then he'll step up and then he'll just get found out again, I think.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's just one of those, you know, all these proliferation of belts. O'Hara Davis is probably a British level fighter. In the old days.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is, when he fights, he looks so devastating, doesn't he, though? You know, that's the thing, isn't it? That'll sell the tickets and that'll get him on these cards and will get him those fights, you know.
Well, maybe he like, if you look like Nigel Benn kind of was a kind of looked like a bad fighter, even though he was very skilled, very fit, you know, he had devastating power. You know, he got found out quite a lot earlier on in his career, and then he managed to box more. But I think he had more boxing experience. I think he won a few ABAs before he turned pro, which I don't think O'Hara Davis has. So I think he had more of a background in boxing before trying his hand professionally. But you know, so you know, the WBO belt is kind of like what the old European title used to be. You know, it's like a world title for Europe. The only people who can win it is a Top Rank and Frank Warren fighters. You know, it's like it kind of operates like a European title, and you know, maybe he can win something like that. But you know, he's probably a European back 20 years ago type of fighter, or 30 years ago. That's about his level, somewhere between British and European.
Yeah. I just his output's not enough for me. You know, he's not going to win fights like that.
Yeah, I suppose he got outworked by your man, Josh Taylor, didn't he?
I think his output is a problem as well. Like in addition to his variety, you know, if you have one or the other, you can see him going somewhere. But he seems to have very low output, an average jab,
and no variety,
no variety. So he's not really good. He's relying on his power to get him out of fights, you know. And you know, as soon as you step up levels and you get in with a half decent opponent, they're going to be awkward and slippery. And you know, OD's footwork as well is not great at all. He's all over the place. He looked like he was falling over at times when he was going for a knockout. You know, it was very poor. I don't want to be too critical on him because he said he needs to do work in the post-fight interview. So fair play to him. But you know, they're hyping him up to be this killer and this machine at 140, but he got absolutely drilled by Josh Taylor. So, you know,
he missed a lot of shots even in that fight on Saturday. That's the worrying thing for me. He missed like wildly, you know, which says to me that again you come up against, you know, someone put in a chat Davis or Nurse who would win. Now I think that's pretty obvious what I saw Saturday for me, because I think Nurse has just got the better boxing ability. I think
that's a pick'em fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I do think it's a pick'em because Nurse likes to get involved in the tear up. If Nurse gets behind his jab and jabs the whole night,
he'll win all day.
He'll win. Yeah. He'll probably win, but
he's capable of doing, I think.
But he tends to get involved in a tear up, and he's done it a fair few times. And if he does that, you know, he's playing right into OD's hands. So yeah, that's a close fight. But I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Jack Catterall would beat the shit out of him, I think.
Yeah,
I think Jack Catterall would beat him up.
You know what? Jack Catterall's kind of stagnated, but I'd still pick him against O'Hara Davis. You know, he seems to have more fundamentals and more tools in his arsenal. OD seems fairly limited, you know, against what we've seen basically, and what happened against Taylor.
But even Tommy Coyle, how would Tommy Coyle do against him?
Tommy Coyle would be there all night, you know. I'd give him that.
Wouldn't
He'd be in his face all night.
Like, to be honest with you, like when you know, like they're British young lads. I think it's a very good division at British level. But you know, all of those boys with O'Hara Davis, you know, like they're in the mix with him. You know, and Robbie Davis Jr. They're all in the mix. It's not like he's this guy who's like fucking world level. It's just matchroom hype machine, absolute matchroom hype machine. And according to Adam Smith, the bicycle sniffer, he said that the saddle sniffer. He said that what you call it, that O'Hara Davis allegedly quit. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
Okay,
I did hear that. Adam Smith's a weirdo. I was watching the Hay Bellew press conference, and like Hay's going on chatting. He asks Hay a question, and then Hay's giving him his answer, and he's just staring ahead, like in like blank expression, not even like taking any notice. It was just awful. He's weird.
Adam Smith is weird. I tell you, he's also known as BG's brother. So yeah, as you will. Take that as you will.
Well, you see, Joe, now we only have, how many do we have watching now? We've got up there to about 20. We have 18 now watching. Where is all your army of bots?
I don't know, man. Irish, you've got to help me on here, man. You've got to help me on here. I can only do so much organisation at the start, you know. You've got to push me through it, mate.
Quality, not quantity.
And here we go, Jay.
It shows you how many casuals follow gossip. I reckon a lot of them are stalkers. There's Adam Smith and his crew. They're probably in United States now, in the White House, fucking steak and gossip, and his missus out as we speak.
Well, Irish, let's say at least the hardcore have tuned in, and they're sitting through us talking about the boxing. So we must be doing something good, I guess.
We have our own.
It just shows that we've like boxing gossip doesn't really need us at all. He can do a podcast on his own.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, we have our own.
Go on, Jack. Go on.
No, Irish. I was going to say, did you watch any of the other fights, or is that kind of a DOD fight the only one you watched?
I watched some of the Hall versus Coyle fight.
You mean Butler?
Butler fight. A reasonably competitive fight. Again, I would think they're just kind of two guys that are about British level. Hall is he's the type of guy you don't want to be in against. You know, he's one of these guys who just stalks and keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming. So, like, it'll give a boxer, you know, if you're a boxer, he'll make you work for those 12 rounds. But not a great fight. Like, not a terrible fight, but, you know, just not a great headliner, I didn't think. Then what was the other one? Dodd versus Stalker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brophy versus Thingy.
Building.
Like, Brophy, like, what was Brophy? Brophy's been really poor.
Yeah, I felt we gave him a bit of pressure. Probably was over eager, and then Fielding must have caught him, and then, you know, it was lights out for Brophy. So
there wasn't even an obvious punch, though. There wasn't even an obvious punch that got him. And you know, Brophy is really Brophy is genuinely barely English level. You know,
yeah, I think
George Groves just destroyed him, and Thingy, who's a British champion, is he still British champion? You know, just destroyed him. Yeah, so like,
Brophy, I don't. Last time out though, Brophy, he had a good win against Zach Dunn. Who was
who the hell is Zach Dunn? Is he any good?
He was a highly touted sort of Australian prospect, and he kind of just KO'd him in 8 rounds, and he gave a good account of himself. So I thought this fight might be competitive, but yeah, you know, Brophy, he is what he is, and he's average at best.
Yeah, so that's not very interesting. But then what was the Stalker versus Dodd Masher Dodd? That was probably the best fight of the lot.
Yeah, I saw your tweet, and I was gonna mention it tonight, and I thought, you know, Tom Stalker. I don't know how you're spot on. I don't know how he's an amateur standout. He is terrible.
Absolutely diabolical. Shows no sense. Like, he's got no boxing brain.
Yeah,
none.
I thought he got beaten by Evans twice, to be honest.
Yeah, and Evans is not a high level fighter.
Yeah,
you know, Tom Stalker is, and people were saying, it's his skills and all this. Like, Masher Dodd displayed better boxing skills than him. Just because he was a come forward fighter doesn't mean he's not skillful. He was getting caught with a straight right hand every time, and he just kept his hands down low the whole time and showed no head movement and kept getting hit with the same shots. Like an amateur standout me arse. It just shows like maybe what the amateur game might have been all about back in the day. He probably had a very fast jab and would score points with it, but he's Catterall cleaned him out, didn't he? And that's about 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I think then the right for Tom Stalker, you'd think he had some sort of skills to deter Catterall, and he got drilled by Jack Catterall, and he hasn't looked. The Evans fights, if you look at the Evans fights, he's struggling to throw a jab in those fights, And those were fairly decent fights. They weren't boring or anything. So you'd get to watch them live.
He actually gave up his jab in the mid rounds as well. It's like he jabs for about 2 or 3 rounds and then he gets tired. And then he just basically doesn't bother jabbing.
Yeah.
And then gets stuck into a tear up and just gets beaten by average fighters. But I think Dodd is quite a decent fighter at British level. He gives it all. And, he's a guy who's come to it late. And, fair play to him. I like Masher Dodd. But all in all, I think it was, I suppose you had 2 competitive fights on it, but it was a kind of a nothing card,
Yeah, I guess it was just one of those Saturday night
cards. Didn't make me want to watch it.
Just feel like the schedule for Matchroom, it's kind of like this weekend, it's just another fight. We'll get onto it later, but it's just kind of another fight that is just to fill the Matchroom schedule and get people out. And you know how it is, I guess. We all know how it is. I guess some boxing is better than none, I guess.
Yeah, like I suppose the thing is, it's, a lot of the big pay-per-view money you can see is coming in and making these other shows very good.
Yeah, you're probably spot on there, mate. Did you happen to catch...
I'm being sarcastic, Chet.
Did you happen to catch Perez versus Briedis by any chance?
I watched it. I watched it, and then I kind of got bored, and I was half watching it. It was the first poor fight of the Super Series or whatever it's called. So yeah, nothing too much. Like, I'm not surprised by how it went. Like, I listened to the Hatman going on about it. Did you hear Hatman talking about it?
No, I haven't watched his video yet.
He made out like it was the biggest disgrace of holding that he's ever seen in his life. Like, it wasn't like it was holding, but I don't know. Like,
I thought Brady
was making out like
was trying to hold a bit too much. It was very excessive, I thought, but
it was. But
it was coming from Briedis. But I think me and Jay spoke about. I'm not sure you heard, but we're picking Usyk to beat him and advance to the final. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, because it'll be Usyk versus Briedis for the WBC and WBO titles.
Are they on the same side of the draw? So who's on the other side? Yeah. It'll be Dorticos versus...
The next one is Gassiev. The winner of Gassiev and Vlodarczyk will face Dorticos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he is a favourite anyway, Usyk for me. But what surprises me is that Briedis has showed... Well, the thing is, right, Briedis is actually older than you think. He's about 32 or 3 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not a spring chicken anymore, to be fair.
And I think he's lost his power or his speed. So I think he used to be much more athletic and fast. I'm just looking at his age here. He's 32. So like when he was fighting Duradola, I suppose that's a year ago. But even like Char, that's 2 years ago. I think he's lost a bit of speed. And with the speed has gone his like punch power. He used to be able to knock guys, spark him out, but he doesn't seem to be as devastating as he used to be. So, I think Usyk will win that reasonably easy. Yeah, I got to go for him. Good atmosphere, though. Good atmosphere.
Yeah, fair play. We're picking Usyk too, so it seems we're on the same page there, Irish. I'm going to crack on with the news because we've spent about 40 minutes talking about the last week's action. But there is a fair bit of news. I guess I'll you know, anyone can kind of get in if they'd like. But I did send it around to the guys. Hearn announces Jacobs versus Arias and Miller versus Marius Wack in the United States as his first sort of Matchroom USA card. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I think you'll see a lot more American fighters going to Matchroom, unfortunately.
Why?
With Top Rank going to ESPN, and then Golden Boy really lacking a lot of depth, really, with their one main Golden Boy, who we know. I think HBO are really looking to branch out for other partners, really, to fill some dates for them. Al Heyman doesn't tend to use one promoter. He'll tend to use. I watched the thing about it, and he tends to use like shadow promoters with a fighter as such. They're just there to promote one night and one night's of boxing. So I think a fighter will look to have a long-term relationship with one promoter, and very, very in with HBO. You know, he's very well connected with them now. And I think you'll start to see more of HBO putting out foreign broadcasts on their channel. So I think you'll see more people defecting because they're seeing there's money there for them. And I think this is just the start, to be honest. I mean, there was talk about Dimitri Bivol, I think his name is, isn't it?
Yeah, he's on the Monaco bill, mate.
So he's going to be a Matchroom fighter. Then you got Jacobs and Big Baby. So I think there'll be more to come. And I think Eddie Hearn.
Big Baby's not with him. He's only signed one fighter. No, he's only signed one fighter.
As far as I know, he's only signed Jacobs, but I think they put obviously Bivol on.
He's going to stop there. That's not going to stop there. Of course, it's not. He's going to.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
he sees a gap there, and there's no reason why Baby Miller won't join the team.
Well,
there's no reason.
There probably is reasons, but like, you know, just because guys are on his show doesn't mean he's signed them. You know, like I think it's very hard for promoters to invade other territories. You know, I just think it's a very hard thing to do. You know, so you know Frank Warren had to go at it too, and other boys have tried it, and Americans have tried it in England, and you know, it hasn't worked. So we'll see. But I think the hardest part is because obviously America's such a big country, so you can't build fighters like you build them over here because you don't get that home support as such. Not really. You can't give the fit. Well, Terence Crawford has been built that way in Omaha, Nebraska. He fills out 20,000, and Wilder fills out.
But they're very, because as soon as they go to another city halfway across the country, you don't get those travelling fans like you would in this country. You don't get them.
Well, that's because it's a lot more bigger distance to travel.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's harder to build a fighter with that sort of fan base unless they're super, super elite and they transcend that, which is not that many. So I think it's going to be difficult in that sense for Eddie Hearn. But I think the relationship with HBO will make a massive difference to him. And I think there'll be a lot of cross-Atlantic exchanges going on.
What about the actual fights?
And especially with I think with the heavyweights, especially because he's got Anthony Joshua, the golden ticket for every heavyweight fighter out there. They know they seal a fight with Anthony Joshua. That's retirement money.
What about the?
But they only have him. He only has Joshua for a year, so that's all up in the air.
Yeah, but he's still going to have some sort. There's no way there's going to be completely severed ties with Matchroom. No way.
I don't see why not. Like Floyd severed ties with Bob Arum. So did Oscar.
There will always be a percentage there. There will always be a small percentage going into that deal.
No,
100%.
There doesn't have to be. Like I just think like we don't know.
I guarantee there will be. I guarantee it.
How are you going to guarantee this?
Because even if he goes,
will you give me your car if you're wrong?
You can have my car. It's only worth 300 quid. So you
I don't have a car, so it's better than nothing.
I've
got a pair of socks. I'll give you to them if he does sign with Eddie Hearn.
Even if it's only 3%,
I'll even wash
or
them.
some sort of working, or even if it's some sort of working deal, that he will tie him in. The lion's share will obviously go to Anthony Joshua, but there will be a certain stipulation somewhere that will guarantee him that he will get the fights that he wants. I guarantee it.
What about the actual fights themselves? Like how they break down Jacobs versus Arias and Miller versus Wack? How do you see them playing out, the actual fights themselves?
Well, Jacobs a winner.
Wack is no good, lads. Wack hasn't done anything in an awful long time.
Do you think Miller stops?
I can't remember. Well, I just think he beats him up. You know, whether he stops him or not, you know, probably not. But you never know. These lads' chins crack sometime. You know, and you know, that's you know, I would make that a 7-1 fight. You know, that's about it. 8-1 maybe for for Miller. What's the other one again?
Jacobs versus Arias.
Yeah, well, I've never seen this Arias guy before, so I presume he's going to get beaten up. Did I see that the man Arias, is he still promoted by 50 Cent?
I can check that. I can check that.
I saw some tweet with the two of them, but you know, I think it's not a great card, to be honest. I just think it's one of these, you know, it's one of these kind of, what do they call them? It's like a promotional card.
It's a marketing
showcase.
It's
a showcase card. Yeah, but like the thing is, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of these guys came into American market with a lot of money, like Jay-Z, who certainly understand the American market more than, say, Eddie Hearn or 50 Cent, and these guys who came in with a lot of money and even signed some big fighters and ended up getting burnt. You know, it's not like Bob Arum and Heyman and these and Golden Boy Promotions and these guys are just going to roll over. You know, they're going to be
roll over.
No, but you know, they're going to be fighting tooth and nail, and you know, they're probably going to have connections in every type of way more connections in America than Eddie Hearn will have. So it'll be a very difficult thing to do it. If he brings over Joshua and he leverages Joshua and manage to sign some fighters on the back of that, I can see it happening. But if he doesn't have Joshua, like, it'll be one of these things that kind of peters out. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, Arias, I think he split with 50 Cent quite a while ago, and he used to be with Floyd, and he kind of split with them as well a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I think now. But yeah, anyway, we'll move on. I don't know what you guys thought of this. So Chocolatito obviously has lost his last fight against Saul Rungvisai. He's been ranked number 2 by the WBA after his loss, and he's called out Yafai. Yafai is fighting a mandatory on the Anthony Joshua undercard, Sho Ishida, and Chocolatito, once the winner of that fight comes about, Chocolatito will actually be the mandatory. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Well, I thought Chocolatito would have given up, to be honest.
I have a prediction for you. I have a prediction. If he comes over to Britain and he fights Yafai, I don't know if it'll be on pay-per-view, but if he fights Yafai, Eddie Hearn will say that Chocolatito is pound for pound #1 fighter in the world.
Do you think Chocolatito will beat Yafai, or
I think Chocolatito is shot.
Yeah, I think he. Do you know what? I just think he's small for super flyweight, and Yafai is a big unit at super fly. He can box, he can punch a little bit. I think he'll be a real problem for Roman Gonzalez, if I'll be honest. A real problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's just fresher and younger, and you know, better move.
I just don't understand how he got ranked at number 2. It does.
Well, he's not a world champion anymore, you see, so he can't be ranked in them if he's not world champion. And that's in the WBA, is it?
Yeah, as in he's been ranked number 2 by the WBA. So basically,
yeah, well,
but
he's probably the best of the of the non-title holders.
Yeah,
that's why, you know.
I guess,
I think pretty fair
as in, does a loss equate to being a number 2 sort of, you know, in a governing body? Does it equate to that? Wow.
Well, if Manny Pacquiao got beaten, you know, would we say he'd be number 2 in the WBO? You probably think it's fair enough.
Yeah, and the thing is, I understand why it happens, but it doesn't make it right, does it? But yeah, anyway. Horn versus Corcoran has been made. I think it's the end of November, early December. Any thoughts on that? That's a bit of a weird one.
The welterweight division has for a long time not contained anybody of an Irish extract, so it's good to see Corcoran going over there, and the Irish takeover is now going down into the lighter weights.
I thought it was Rio takeover, Irish.
Well, Rio is also Rio is a subsection of the Irish takeover, but I guarantee you, lads, that'll be a good fight.
Yeah, I think that'll be a bit of a war, you know. Corcoran
that'll be a war.
Out of steam, though, to be honest. He did.
Corcoran brings it, and he's a dirty bastard, and Jeff Horn is not the cleanest fighter in the world either.
You know what? He's a solid fighter.
I think it'd actually be a good scrap.
But I just think he'll run out of steam. He ran out of steam in his last few fights, Corcoran, at welterweight, because he moved down after the Liam Williams loss, didn't he? And he looked like he ran out of steam towards the end, and I think that might be his undoing against Jeff Horn. Who
did he fight in the comeback?
Sorry?
Who did he fight in at welterweight? I didn't see any of them, I don't think.
Do you know what? Let me go on his box rec, because I know he had one. I think he had 2 or 3 fights at welterweight.
Was he a scrap? He won.
Yeah, he didn't look good.
Larry Econdeo.
Yeah, so Larry Econdeo. And Gorman. He got a TKO over James Gorman, who was 8-35 with 1 draw. And Larry Econdeo, 12-0, and he won the WBO Intercontinental welterweight title via split decision. And I think I watched that fight from what I remember, and he did not look good at all.
Oh, well.
So
it'll be a scrap anyway. And then Jeff Horn probably knocks out the 7 rounds.
However long it lasts, I guess.
He's ranked top 10, isn't he, Corcoran?
Yeah, as in he's got the WBO Intercontinental, so he'll be inside the top 15. So Horn could obviously pick him, and then they probably look forward to a Pacquiao rematch or a Terence Crawford fight later in the spring, I guess.
But he didn't want what's his name?
Bradley Skeet.
Bradley Skeet, did he?
Yeah, Bradley Skeet beats both of these guys for me.
Yeah,
but, that's interesting fight nonetheless. Let's put it that way. Stephen,
I don't know if Bradley Skeet beats Jeff Horn. I think he might be favourite, but I think it's probably just a clash of styles. You know, Bradley Skeet mightn't be able to keep a proper, because Jeff Horn is a very good aggressive fighter. We shouldn't shit on him. He's a top 10 welterweight, and he's limited. I know he's limited, but look, he's able to go and win against Pacquiao. So he's able to operate at the highest level. And, I think Bradley Skeet has never been in there with a top-class pressure fighter. Ever.
I think that's the question mark. But Bradley Skeet can box on the back foot quite well.
But that doesn't matter. Like, look what happened to Hughie Fury. Is he going to go over there and box in the back foot really negative and get a decision?
Well,
no,
you can't compare that, though. You can't compare that till it happens. There's loads of fighters that box on the back foot and have done for years and years. It doesn't mean they're going to put a performance.
I know, but you're going over to Australia and you're going to win a fight like that. I think that, A, we don't know if he can take it from a top quality pressure fighter, and B, will he get the decision? So I think that Horn is probably the favourite there.
Does it happen?
But Bradley Skeet has a better. It was going to happen in Australia, I think.
But will it go forward? He can't. I don't think he can survive just staying in Australia for the rest of his career.
Well, he can fill out a stadium the last time. They make a lot of money. It's pay-per-view. Every fight's in pay-per-view in Australia, so they make a lot of money.
This Corcoran fight is actually going to be in a smaller stadium, I think, holding 8,000 or something like that. But I'd expect him to sell it out anyway. So he's got a big buzz after the Pacquiao win, so I'd expect him to sell it out. And now he's got Top Rank kind of co-promoting him. So, and Gary, things are looking good for Jeff Horn.
Gary Corcoran has got a lot of Australian fans as well. So,
yeah. Stephen Smith has got a EBU title shot, I think, possibly on the AJ undercard, if not at the start of the year. I know you guys aren't the biggest fan of the Smith brothers, but
yawn.
So we'll pass on that one. Your man, Irish, David Benavidez versus Ronald Gavriel rematch talks for January. Any thoughts on that?
Benavidez will beat the piss out of him in the rematch.
Jay, any thoughts on that?
I think he deserves a rematch, definitely. Benavidez, he has to come in with a better plan, I think, this time, really. He was a bit too, as I said, he showed a lack of experience and age in the last fight. So he really needs to think about.
This fight will be good for him. I think he'll learn a fair amount of things.
You hopefully, when in the rematch, you see a big difference in the way he goes about his work.
Yeah.
Last time, he probably underestimated his opponent. Probably showed a lack of experience. Plus, he's been, so phenomenal up until then, really, and still looked, naturally really good. But he was on a high, and I think he probably just went into that fight thinking, I'm just going to bowl him over, knock him out, and it didn't work out like that. So maybe he's learned something from that, and he can only improve. He's only a kid, there's plenty of time for him.
Yeah,
so I think,
I have to agree. I think he's got a lot of time on his side, and hope this rematch is probably for the best. Actually, he'll learn a few things hopefully in this rematch as well. Even if he does, have some flaws in the rematch, I think he'll still learn. So it should be good. Carl Frampton, the card has been named by Uncle Frank. He'll be facing Horacio Garcia, I think, in a 10-rounder. So he's topping the bill. Zolani Tete defending his world title on the bill. A couple of other usual suspects under Frank's banner also on the bill. Conrad Cummings also has joined Jamie Moore. So any thoughts on Frampton or Cummings or Zolani Tete? Any thoughts on that, guys?
Some breaking news on Twitter. Tyson Fury says suspension lifted.
Yeah,
really?
I saw that. I saw that just before we went on air. I was going to come to that. That was the next thing I was going to come to.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So obviously we were talking about Jamie Moore training a lot of the UK fighters now. So Conrad Cummings is also. I'm sure he's left Cyclone and he's left Shane McGuigan. He's joined Jamie Moore. Carl Frampton, he's back in November. So I know you're a big fan of Carl Frampton, Irish. So any thoughts on that? Jay also.
Sorry, which is the fella who Frampton's been announced to fight?
Yeah, Horacio Garcia.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, I saw your tweet, mate. Jamie Conlan's on the card. He's got a world title fight on the card against a fairly decent operator. And Chaos, I think his name is Filipino. He looked very, very good in his last fight. Any thoughts on that? I think Jamie Conlan gets beat in that fight, but maybe someone's more high on him than me.
It'll be a good card. Jamie Conlan is great to watch. So no matter what, it'll be a fucking war. But he might get cleaned out early.
Yeah, I think the guy is probably a bit too classy for him. And Chaos, I think his name is. I think he'll be a bit too much for him. But, best of luck to Jamie Conlan. He's always in exciting fights. The fight versus Anthony Nelson, a fantastic fight, one of the best fights I've seen in recent times, just all-out war. So, yeah.
But I think that's a bit of an unknown quantity, isn't it, really? So, he's one of these fighters that's never really fought out, and you don't know what, where he's, how good he is or how bad he is, as you saw against the guy that fought Gonzalez, it's an unknown quantity.
Yeah, more breaking news, lads.
Go for it.
Go for
it. Wilder's going to be fighting Bahrain Stavern.
Oh,
he announced they won't sanction Wilder Ortiz, and I was actually like Victor Conte.
Yes,
the kind of drugs guy. He was saying that Ortiz should be allowed to fight. That it was like a mistake more than anything. Well, he looked into all of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it, Irish J, both of you. Ortiz said, "Let's bet my purse and your purse on my hair sample." I don't know if you guys saw that one. That was a bit weird because obviously you can use hair as a sort of suitable means as drug testing, but that was something very far fetched. And Ortiz, that the guy needs to either get off the peds or just get out of the game because it seems like he's wasting his time. Obviously, the Coyote one, that was a while ago, I know, but this one is very recent, and he hasn't looked good in his last few fights. I think he needs to call it a day, to be honest.
Yeah, but I suppose it's the only option. I don't know whether it's maybe it's, I don't know. I know White calls out everyone, but for him, is it the only option really at this point in time at such a late stage?
Could be good. I mean, White is game, and I watched his IFL TV interview. He's always entertaining, to be fair. He's a funny guy, but I do feel not bad, but I do feel somewhat some sympathy, because they're trying to get him fights, but it doesn't seem like anyone's interested. And he says yes to everyone. He's a hard nut. He just gets in there and wants to tear up. So
Yeah.
do feel a bit bad, but I think he's fighting November 4th, so it's about a month away. A month today, he's fighting. So
he does make it abundantly clear now, though, that he expects a certain amount of money. Now he says it's not life-changing super money, but he does expect a certain amount of money. But we just don't know, what sort of money he's asking for.
Yeah.
Which fair play to him. He's got to make money, and he should know his worth, because of his mouth, he will bring punters in. But it's just what he's asking for, really. That's the problem when you don't know what the deal is for certain fights.
Yeah, that's the spot on there, mate. Quick bit on Tyson Fury. Obviously, the news has come out. Irish broke it. Do you guys think he'll be going with the Lithuanian boxing organization or something like that? He'll get a license from there, or what, guys? So what do you guys think? Because the Union of Irish Boxing, they said they won't. They'll respect the British Boxing Board of Control's decision. So yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah, but if he's cleared, you see, hopefully he'll go with the Irish board, because that will further enhance the Irish takeover, and he'll distribute more money into the boxing clubs of Ireland.
I think I watched the IFL interview with Frank Warren, and they were saying, it's crazy when you look at Povetkin, failed a drug test. Lucas Brown has failed 2 drug tests, and they've got back within the time, where Fury hadn't had a hearing. And I'm wondering if this, nuance of pressure has kind of put the pressure on the British Boxing Board of Control to make a decision over it. I think public pressure is finally broken, maybe. But
yeah,
the tough road for him. It's a really tough road for Tyson Fury to get back now.
Let's hope, fingers crossed, he can get back into shape, and he can really make a go of it, because when he's on his day, he's probably the best fighter in the heavyweight division. He's he's superb at what he does, and I like to see him back. Let's put it that way. Peter said that. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, it's just very sad that we might not get to see the best of Tyson Fury when he steps in with like Joshua or someone like that. That these years, been 2 years? It's going to be close to another 3 years out the ring, and you just pray and hope that he hasn't lost his best, really, which would be very sad.
Yeah, definitely. What's the other one? Peter Fury said that they're probably going to look to get Huey out of they're going to rescind his British Boxing Board of Control license because they're corrupt. So let's see where that goes, because he replied to Tyson Fury on Twitter. So that'll be a news story I guess we'll be covering next week and the week after as well. But yeah, enough on Tyson Fury, I guess, for now. But always an entertaining character. We kind of rattled through the news relatively quickly. So we'll go for the boxing this weekend. Eubank versus Yildirim in the WBSS quarterfinal. I don't know if anyone got caught the presser. Yildirim's manager, he went off on a crazy one. So yeah, at least there was something good that came from that presser. But any thoughts on the fight and the presser, etc., from both of you?
Irish?
No, just somebody trying to sell a fight. It's pretty obvious to me.
Who do you think wins the fight? Eubank, Yildirim?
Oh, between Yildirim's manager and Eubank's backroom staff guy. I don't know. Because the backroom staff guy's got the height and reach. But the other guy looks like he's got more power. But he's a bit overweight, so can he do it in the later rounds? I don't know. Probably go with Eubanks.
Eubank. Cool. Late
and in the actual fight.
Or stoppage or points?
We still talking about the support staff?
The actual fight. You were talking about the actual fight, Irish.
Oh, the actual fight. It'll be Eubank. You know, he'll win on points, unless he might get robbed. It would be hilarious if he got robbed. That would be fantastic. But I doubt it'll happen. I think he'll probably win on points. I think people are maybe sleeping on Yildirim a bit, because Yildirim is actually quite a decent come forward fighter. Maybe not top level, but Eubank has done reasonably well against come forward fighters. But he's only fought ones at the British level. He fought Spike. Spike's hardly even British level, and he fought what do you call the fellas in the coma? And
Nick Blackwell.
Nick Blackwell. Like Nick Blackwell, that was a kind of a close fight for 5 or 6 rounds. So I think this guy Yildirim is tough, and I think that his resume is probably as good as Eubank's resume. So I think he'll go the different distance, and I won't be surprised if at moments he puts the pressure on. People are comparing him to Arthur Abraham, but he's not like Abraham. Abraham used to shell up. He's more of an aggressive come forward fighter. He's a fighter who likes, from what I've seen, he likes to be on their chest. Now, it'll make for an exciting style clash, but I expect Eubank to be able to do it. But I would love a robbery. I give out about like corruption all the time, but like there are certain corrupt events which I am in favor of.
Oh, you can't say that.
I'd like to see Eubank.
I can't,
Eubank roll.
I will give out about them for being corrupt, but I will still enjoy them.
No way. Can't say that.
I don't know if you guys caught Eubank Senior's comments. He said, in the next 3 fights, my son will become a multi-millionaire. Any sort of thoughts on that? I thought that was a bit, far-fetched and wide of the mark. But
what did he say? Sorry, you broke up for me, Jet. Say it again.
Eubank Senior, he said in an IFL TV interview, he said, the next 3 fights, Chris Eubank Jr. will become he'll become a multi-millionaire.
Well, he probably, if he wins this, he'll win $10 million. So he will be a multi-millionaire.
But you know what? I think someone's put it in the chat. Modern Broadcast said the fact that Eubank is walking around below the super middleweight limit is slightly worrying. I'd have to agree.
Who knows that, though? Who knows that? I doubt he is.
I don't think. Do you know what?
Like he was struggling to make 160. He was struggling to make 160. He's putting on at least 10 pounds. So he can't be walking around below that limit.
But what do you think if he was at light heavyweight and he fought someone like, obviously Andre Ward is now retired, but if he fought someone like an Andre Ward or a Sergei Kovalev, would he? He said Ronnie Davis said it himself. So Ronnie Davis is obviously his kind of co-trainer.
Yeah, but in fairness, Ronnie Davis is suffering from Alzheimer's.
Oh God.
Is it?
He is, yeah.
I didn't know that. Didn't know that myself. So hopefully that's not too bad. But yeah, I don't know how he would.
That's why he keeps jumping up and trying to take off all his clothes and get on a bicycle and cycle around the.
Oh, you're such a wanker.
Irish,
conference.
On this show, it's not the BG show, but Irish, you're still comedic gold, mate. You're still comedic gold.
Still,
yeah,
That implies I've been it before.
Eubank is just, I don't know. He captivates the public, doesn't he? Let's put it that way. He definitely gets people talking about him. So I've had a fair few messages from people I know, and they follow UK boxing more than the international scene. And they go, "Oh, Eubank's fighting, isn't he, this weekend?" I go, "Yeah, he's against the guy he should be he should be winning against, but you might give him a problem or two, and they go, "Oh well, Eubank's going to smash him. Did you not see him in this against this guy?" And I'm like, "Well, that guy's he's a dustbin man. No offense, but Eubank, he will have it."
Smash him. I think they're right. I think he will smash him. I don't see him. It's easy work, I think, for Eubank.
You think he's going to knock him out? Eubank doesn't knock anybody out.
No, he won't knock him out, but he'll just.
I think Eubank
batter him
will win on points. I think Eubank
will be
Yildirim's quite tough.
Yeah, but Yildirim's fighting at home, so he'll get some rounds. I think it'll probably be a 9-3 type fight.
Yeah,
tough, but he's
something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, 9-3, 10-2 maybe, or something like that. Yildirim will come forward and try and put under pressure, but Eubank will be too cute, and
he'll be a lot better than Arthur Abrahams, though. Abrahams hardly threw a punch.
Oh, he was awful. He was awful in that fight. Completely shot. He was done in the Gilberto Ramirez fight for me. He's done. He's done at the top level. But yeah, so everyone's picking Eubank basically to win. So fair play. Crolla versus Burns. I know you guys are itching to see this fight. So any thoughts on the huge fight this weekend? That is Anthony Crolla versus Ricky Burns.
It's hard to get excited about, I'll be honest with you.
What are you on about? For me, this is like, it's a rerun of history. It's like Braveheart, the Scottish taking on the English, the Celts going to dig a ditch and fill them full of spikes and get the British horses to run over them and skewer them and then chop all their... To me, this is the number one fight in world boxing that we've been waiting for. The hype has got to me. I'm hyped. I'm hyped beyond belief. I think Anthony Crolla is going to lose by decapitation.
I'm not so sure. So
we all know Ricky
Burns to win.
Ricky Burns, if there's one thing we know about Ricky Burns, is he knocks guys out. And if there's one thing we know about Anthony Crolla, he knocks guys out. So this is going to be balls to the wall war. Can't wait.
It's going to be a low rent version of.
Who do you think the winner will fight?
Luke fucking Campbell.
Yeah.
Luke Campbell's been in the been on Sky Sports, and he's been quite active on social media, saying he's asking for the Linares rematch. So
I think Linares has got bigger fish to fry up. He wants
to see it. I didn't think it was even that good of a fight, even.
Mate, I'll be honest, I think Luke Campbell needs to face someone like a Robert Easter or a Terry Flanagan. They're beatable guys for Luke Campbell, and he done very well in his spots against Jorge Linares. So I think Robert Easter's definitely there for the picking. Terry Flanagan, he hasn't. Terry Flanagan stagnated and or regressed for me. So Luke Campbell's thereabouts. He's not good enough to beat a Linares or a Mikey Garcia, but he's good enough to beat those sort of guys. Flanagans and Crawlers and those sort of guys.
I'd like to see the Flanagan fight. Definitely,
pretty good fight. I'll tell you what. Here's some stats for you, lads, to give you a boxing erection. Ricky Burns has fought 48 times with 14 KOs. Crolla has fought 40.
Got to be lower than 30%.
Yeah, 40. Anthony Crolla has fought 40 times with 13 KOs.
Oh, goodness me. So we're staring down the barrel of a
12-round fight.
Oh, great.
50 minutes of action.
I cannot do this anymore.
That's it. You get 1-2 on Crolla. I wonder what the odds are that going the distance.
Should I check it out? I'll go on odds checker now if you want.
Yeah, I'm on odds checker too. So please do the internet connection as fast as you can.
Yeah, Irish, you're cutting out a bit there, mate.
Shut your face.
Are you in Ireland, Irish?
England.
Oh, well. Why is it? I just
terrible. Well, we want to try and make out that Ireland is a shitty internet connection. Is that it?
Fine, I think.
What are you going to do?
We've got lots of relatives in Ireland, you know, and they're always complaining about the internet
The internet
connection.
shit.
Okay, I'm on Oddschecker right now.
Too late. I'm there now.
If you've got
Will the
it,
fight
that's
go
fine.
the distance? 2-5. You get 4-9 on Betfair that'll go the distance. Betfred.
I would take that. That's free money there.
4-9. Go the distance. Just set these odds.
Oh, my life. I would take that, mate, in a heartbeat. Like,
I'm going to open up an account on Betfred and put my mortgage on it.
send me the link via email if you can. When you get a chance, I'm gonna do that.
You know these, like, they give you these like fucking free bets.
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
And they put these conditions on it. Like, you read them and you have no idea what the fuck they mean. Place a bet of £10 or more at odds of evens or greater, and they'll give you a £30 free sports bet. 30. Okay.
Yeah, I know what they're saying there.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. So you get 4-9 on it going the distance. There you go. That's a good fucking price.
So you guys hear it here first. Irish breaks the news. That's the bet for this weekend. Eubank
4-9.
Did you check the Eubank one? Eubank on points. They probably got Eubank on points as well. To be fair,
yeah.
So we can check that.
Nice.
In the meantime, has anyone got anything else they want to discuss? We kind of rattled through very quickly. To be fair.
Let's see. Method of victory. Eubank by decision. You got evens. Eubank by decision.
That's not bad.
Eubanks by KO 13-8. Oh no, yeah.
Probably go for the Eubank on points if I was.
It's Cornish Sexton, in it, Friday?
Do you know what? I was gonna put that in the agenda, and I just thought, no,
what's this?
I can't do it.
Who?
Cornish versus Sexton. Oh God.
What time is that on television?
It's on Friday, I think.
It's on Box Nation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's going to be a tear up.
Oh God.
Classic. That is a heavyweight.
Another Braveheart.
Anytime I think or I hear of Sam Sexton, all I just like realize and envision is that is Dillian White actually saying Lamb Sexton. That's all I ever think when I hear that guy's name. Yeah, he's terrible. It's awful. Yeah.
Who doesn't win a fight?
I haven't seen him in a long time. I haven't seen him since he knocked out Martin Rogan. That's a long time ago now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. He is awful. Some of the fans are calling for Agogo news. So I'm actually.
I've been retweeting some of Anthony Agogo lately. He's been doing some very good tweets.
I'm actually going.
Tweets about everything.
He said, the arms have shrunk on one of my favorite jackets in the wash. I'm walking around like a ... Yeah, I don't know what he's saying. Basically, he hasn't had a very exciting time since he got knocked out by Craig Cunningham. Unfortunately, guys, he's been very low key. He's been posting on his Instagram page. If you want to go to his Instagram is Anthony Agogo 11. So please do check that out, and we can get more Agogo news because gossip doesn't allow us to discuss him on the channel.
Is it possible that his account is a troll account that somehow got verified? Like, listen to this one. Awe-inspiring and spine-tingling. Our anthem being belted out by that songstress in the best. I don't know what the fuck.
I think, you know what?
The best stadium in the world.
I've heard a lot of things in my lifetime, academic and normal, casual, and that is one of the worst fake academically posted things I've ever heard in my entire life. So Anthony Agogo,
is he still a boxer?
Please hit the books.
Is he still a boxer?
Sorry,
I don't think he is. I think
Is he giving up? No.
No, he doesn't say
fitness first. He does.
I mean, I checked his Twitter, and I've typed it in on Google, so I've just checked the recent news, and there isn't really any news about him, apart from he could box in 2017 after recovering from injury, and that's kind of the latest thing.
And
my eye basically exploded.
And did you know something else? Do you know Danny Williams is fighting on the 14th of this month?
Oh,
who?
No, really?
Williams. Yeah,
who is?
Marino Goles.
Who the fuck is that?
In Croatia.
Danny Williams, I cannot believe that. This is like the weekend of some pensioners, mate. Jesus.
76 fights he's had. In this day and age, to have 76 fights, age 44, is quite incredible.
I cannot believe that, mate. That is.
It is,
mate. You know when you just don't have any words? I don't have any words. Oh, my life. And worst thing is, he got a win in the Czech Republic in his last fight. Oh, God.
That's right.
Just giving him false hope.
That's right.
Jesus.
It's subject to commission.
I don't want to be nasty on it. I hope he gets absolutely starched and he can just quit, because there's no need for him to carry on now. He's done his time, you know.
Who? Anthony Ogogo?
I don't know.
What are you on about?
No.
He's going to realise his ambition to be the next Sugar Ray Leonard. I think is plain to see. That's what's going to happen.
I hope not. I really hope not. It's
Danny Williams is on about.
Danny Williams.
Oh, Danny Williams.
Yeah, Danny Williams.
Yeah, he wants to be the next Sugar Ray Leonard.
Come on, Irish.
Fought Mike Tyson 13 years ago.
Sorry, lads. I read through about 400 of Anthony Ogogo's tweets while you were chatting. And there's
goodness.
He says it's the most inane stuff as well. He'll say like,
that's what I mean.
"Oh, come on, boys, that was a great performance. Oh, we're playing Slovakia. I only know 3 Slovakians. We're bound to win." It's this kind of shit. Like, and his tweets get 1 like. How can you have 25,000 followers and only 1 person likes your tweet? He's probably liking it himself. Poor bastard.
He probably is, to be fair. Probably is. Yeah, so we kind of rattled through the agenda for tonight. I don't know if anyone wanted to briefly touch on the David Haye, Tony Bellew 2 presser before we head off.
I didn't watch it. I just watched the stare off, and it was 4 minutes long, and it was extremely boring.
It was the biggest contradiction I've ever seen in my life. The contradictions were all over the place, from Bellew, from Hearn, from Haye. It's just ridiculous.
What were they saying?
Just saying that, you know, Tony Bellew was saying that, you know, he's got a screw loose, but at the same time he loves fighting, but at the same time he's doing it for his kids, but at the same time Haye was saying he was a multi-millionaire because he saw what he'd getting paid, but at the same time Bellew saying he's only got $500,000. It's just like, it's just all over the place. It was just horrible. It's just horrible.
Tony Bellew was wearing a very nice suit, it must be said. What's with these guys wearing like 3-piece suits with what do you call them? A waistcoat, is it?
Yeah, waistcoat, yeah.
And his waistcoat is so tight on him. Like, I mean, he's fucking bursting through it. I like a good fitted suit. But like, when these guys with a waistcoat, it makes it feel like if he took it off, he's like fucking, his guts are going to fall out like somebody's just been eaten by a zombie.
Well, that's why he wears it. Because he's obviously carrying weight again, you know, but he says he's going to win again, and he's quite confident of winning. And
not only does he carry weight, he also carries power.
I carry power. Oh God, you can forget that one. Do you know what? I was watching the Makabu fight actually yesterday. I think it was. Didn't do too bad, you know, in that fight. But
Tony Bellew says, "Oh, you know, I took his best shot," and then the next sentence he's saying, "If he hits me, I'm going down." It's like,
yeah, you know what? I heard that.
You know what I mean? There's your contradiction straight away. You know. It's crazy.
Well,
I guess that's just a way to build up the fight, again, isn't it? And build interest for it from now, isn't it? So it's just a way to generate buzz and get people talking about it. And David Haye is still a big name in British boxing. Don't get me wrong. Tony Bellew has from that fight, probably just from that fight alone, he's become a big name in British boxing as well. So obviously they're going to say, it's the WWE style, isn't it? Or WWF, whatever. So it is what it is, I guess. This thing. Sorry, go on.
I rewatched a bit of that fight actually today.
The Haye Bellew one.
Yeah, it was like people who were saying that was a brilliant fight. Like it was a desperate fight. David Haye was shot. He looked like, the one that fought, the Haye that fought Jar Jar Binks was infinitely better than the one that fought Bellew. Like he couldn't throw a punch, and he was like, you could see he was winging. He was obviously knew his leg was going to go at any moment, and he was just trying to throw a haymaker. But the thing is, he couldn't throw a haymaker because he couldn't put pressure on his back foot.
Yeah.
So like he was arm punching. And, Tony Bellew, I remember on the podcast at the time, I said it was like that video of the monkey shagging a dead frog. And that's like, when I watched it again, that's the only image I could have in my head was that monkey shagging a dead frog. That's what that fight was.
So, in the rematch, who wins?
If it David Haye, you got to think that, I think that Bellew is going to win because David Haye will be in even worse physical condition. I just can't believe that his Achilles tendon or Achilles heel will be healed enough.
Yeah, mate.
That he'll be able to throw with power. But the thing is, if he's able to, if it doesn't snap, because he was winning that fight easy on points, even though he was shot. That's how bad Tony Bellew is at heavyweight.
But his timing is off, though, isn't it?
We'll watch that fight.
But he probably wasn't even to do a camp. He probably wasn't even to do a training camp. That's probably why they were shooting all the shit out in the yacht, because he wasn't able to fucking train.
I was watching the fight with some of my cousins actually at one of the houses, and David Haye walked in, came in first round, and then I looked at one of my cousins. He's a very knowledgeable boxing fan, and he looked at me. He's like, David Haye's gonna lose because he's too slow. He's inaccurate. He's he can't put any weight in his back foot. We saw it straight away from the first 30 seconds. We knew it straight away. And I think you're right with what you say. He's not going to be in any better physical condition in this fight in the rematch.
He'll come in lighter than he did though.
Do you know what he said? I don't know if you heard what he said. He said, I'm going to come in whatever I'm going to come in. I don't have to make weight, so I'm not necessarily putting loads of weight on, and I'm not losing loads of weight, so I'll come in how I feel comfortable coming in. So that means he's probably going to come in maybe the same, and that's going to be very heavy on his feet. He looked, plodding at times, to be fair. I know his leg was gone, his Achilles was gone, but he looked plodding at times against Bellew. Bellew was making him miss. He was slipping the shots.
I'm not so sure. I don't really believe him when Haye's saying that. Do you know what I mean? He's just, brushing that off. But I think because he came in over 16.
He does look a bit trimmer, to be fair. He does look a bit trimmer.
Yeah, and I think he'll come in lighter this time. I think he definitely needs to, because even someone like Tony Bellew is making you miss, even if he wasn't super fit, his accuracy's got to be better, and he knows. He can't blow Matt. And as Tom says, and I never really thought about it, but he's right in saying that he probably came out thinking he's got this injury and he needs to do it within the first 3 rounds. Otherwise, he's not going to make it to the 12th.
Yeah, I think that the Achilles and any other sort of lingering injuries in the shoulder, maybe that's going to be a big problem for David in this fight. I think his body's just going to break down on him. And I think this is probably the last we're going to see of David Haye at the top, he's not even at the top level at any sort of half decent level. I think he's done now. He's finished. His body has given up on him, and I think we've seen a decline of Haymaker 2.0.
I think he'll keep it going as long as he can. So if he wins, he'll seek that big fight because he loves the dough, doesn't he? And every fighter really wants to keep going, don't they? And he wants to gain back a bit of dough before he finishes. So if he wins, he'll try and get into a big
He's
fight.
looking for the Joshua fight, isn't he? Though he's looking for the Joshua fight, definitely.
And the funny thing is, Tony Bellew said, Joshua, has got, a list as long as his arm for people to fight before David Haye. But if David Haye wins convincingly, they'll try and set that up. They'll try and make that into something because they know it's a massive seller.
He doesn't even have to win convincingly. He just has to win.
He just has to win, I think.
If he wins by 1 point, they'll set that fight up because he looks shit. I think Eddie Hearn will set that up as a voluntary. I wouldn't be surprised if it'll be voluntary because it's a mega fight in England, even if Hayes shot. Boxing is full of these ones. Frank Bruno taking on, what did you call your man? The Australian guy who fought Ali and did well.
Bugner.
An old Ali. Bugner. These fights in the 80s and Bugner was shot. And it was a big fight at the time.
Yeah. It's true.
Glee actor, this is from The Sun. This is Davy Boy tweeting. Glee actor Mark Salling, 2 counts of child porn, found 50,000 images on his computer. There you go. That's Glee actor Mark Salling. Thanks, Davy Boy, for that tweet. Just breaking news. I'm just going through the news that's coming through here.
And on that note,
we haven't talked about
man. We've hit an all
we haven't talked about Catalonia yet.
Oh, come on, Irish. Keep politics out of it.
What?
Listen, I'm a politics graduate. The last thing I want to talk about is the Catalan situation. But even Theresa May, I don't want to talk about because
it's got that interesting. Why don't you just read us through your dissertation for the next 2.5 hours?
I don't think that would be the best thing. Let's put it that way. I didn't do too bad on it, to be fair, but
I'm quite interested.
I'll tell you guys off air. I guess I'll tell you guys off air what it was about. But yeah, on that note,
did anybody?
Go on, Irish.
Are we finished?
Well, I don't mind going for another half hour, 40 minutes. It's up to you. I was just going to say, does anyone have any?
I was just going to say, like, do people have no sarcasm detectors on Twitter?
It seems like people. I think they read what they want to read, and they don't read between the lines. They just accept something as fact, and I think that happens.
Did you see all the amount of weirdos replying to me when I said that O'Hara Davis was wearing a purse on his wrist?
No, I did not see that. I'm going to go on my Twitter right now.
I'll read them out for you here. Did you see any of them, Jay?
I'm going to look at
it. Yeah.
Oh my God, I was creasing over laughing at these.
Did anyone see Tyson Fury's tweet that he spelled terribly wrong? Make it clear I'll not apply to the BBBOC for a new license. I'll go elsewhere. Take my money and business to somewhere that appreciate it. Did anyone see that tweet?
I did.
Tyson Fury.
Predictive text. That's what I did.
And someone replied to him. You know what? Someone replied to him. You go, "Why are you still on the Charlie, mate?" It was so badly big that you could just. It was bad.
Forgive him.
He gives Billy Joe Saunders some for his money.
Yeah.
And the spelling.
Yeah, I agree.
Someone says they want to talk about the Billy Joe Saunders Amir Khan possible fight. Do you make of that?
Yeah, what do you guys think of it? I mean, I'm not really keen on seeing Amir Khan get starched again, but yeah, what do you guys think?
All right, lads. So what were we saying? What do you call him? Billy Joe knocks him out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, not much.
I think Bill has sneaky power. I don't think he's the biggest puncher, but I think if he catches you clean, because he's a very crisp counter puncher, isn't he? I think when he done it to Andy Lee, caught him twice, very sharp in the third round in their fight when he won the WBO title, and he does that a lot. And I think if he does that to Khan in the first early rounds, it's done. It's done. I mean, Amir Khan is done. He's finished. I don't know why he's still trying to box. He made he made some good money in the Canelo fight. I know.
Got divorce coming up, Jen.
His dad's been looking after his money in inverted commas. So maybe that's why, but I don't think he needs it, to be honest.
There is lots of rumours about a lot of infighting within the family, isn't there? And
not even rumours, Jay.
Well, it's only rumours to me because I only hear it. It's only rumours to me because I hear it second hand. Do you know what I mean? Unless they hear it from Amir Khan.
They're tweeting him out. His missus tweeting out pictures of his brother naked at a fucking party.
Really?
See that one?
Oh, mate.
No, I don't.
Mate, the problem with Amir Khan is when something's going wrong, he just seems to exacerbate the situation. He doesn't keep his mouth shut and think, you know what, let me just choose the diplomatic route and just let everything die down and subside, and then I can put out a statement. He goes, well, no, Anthony Joshua has been nailing my wife. Like,
greatest tweet ever. Greatest tweet of all time.
Sorry,
Anthony Joshua has been nailing my wife.
Like, who comes out with that on Twitter? Seriously, who comes out with that on Twitter? Like, what high-profile sportsman will come out with that on Twitter? It just makes no sense. There's no logic behind it, and
it shows you why he's not able to adjust and do a new style of boxing, doesn't it? Because he's not grey matter.
Hey, Amir Khan is a problem, and I mean a problem in the worst possible way. You know, he makes things a lot worse for himself than it needs to be, and mate, he should just fight Kell Brook and retire, regardless of the result. He should just fight Brook, lose, because he probably will lose, and retire. That's it.
Do you think, guys, that seriously that Amir Khan has fulfilled the potential that he has, or the ability that he has?
Well, I don't think he fulfilled his. Well, you know, he had amazing physical attributes. He wasn't the smartest boxer, but I think he could have done more at 140 and stayed there, and maybe gone up to 147 a bit later. I think he could have cleaned up at 147. He got robbed by Peterson. He was the best 140 fighter in the world at one stage. Yeah. There's not too many British fighters that get to be the clear number one in their division.
And always watch as well. You're always watching Amir Khan fight, weren't you?
Yeah, and he was great to fight. He was great.
Good fights.
Yeah, and exciting to watch. Like let's say at any one time, say in of all the British fighters now, you've got AJ, who's probably the number one heavyweight in the world at the moment. Is there any other British boxer who's number one in the division?
No.
Maybe DeGale. Maybe.
You know, like I think you can make an argument for DeGale, but probably not. I think if you go back through time, you know, usually there'll be one British boxer. Maybe it was David Hay was the best cruiserweight, and maybe Ricky Hatton was the best 140 at that time. More than one or two, and Amir Khan was one of them.
Yeah,
you know, and he was a great fighter.
Great.
But like, the thing is, he didn't have the brain for it. He's not like a boxing. He's not like, you know, he's the opposite to Andre Ward. All the physical attributes, but not the brain.
Yeah.
And, but so I think he probably did quite well, but he probably shouldn't have gone chasing Floyd. But it makes, you know, you understand why you would, but because the money you make will just be 5-10 times better. So it makes sense to try and chase it.
The Madonna fight was just cracking. Just a great fight that was.
That was a great fight. Great fight.
Everything that fight did.
He was never in a bad fight. I never saw him in a bad fight. Even when he schooled Devin Alexander, he was really impressive. It wasn't like he was boring.
He's fantastic. You know what? Speed, isn't it?
It's the vulnerability factor. He's always in exciting fights because you know he's you know, a knockout possibly waiting to happen. If not, he's going to be, you know, boxing the guy on the back foot with very, very ultra fast hands, and you know, be exciting at the same time. So you know, I mean, he might give Billy Joe a few problems early, but I think Billy Joe will catch him sort of in the mid to late rounds, middle rounds, I think, and he'll probably stop him. you know, if that's the route he wants to go, I don't think there's money in that Billy Joe Saunders fight. But I mean, if Uncle Frank seems to have a fair bit of money now with the BT deal, so yeah, I mean, it could be a decent-ish payday for Amir, but I think he needs the Kell Brook fight, and he should go for that Brook fight for me, because he's not he's not getting any younger. I don't think he beats any of the champions at 147. Errol Spence, I would not like to see that fight. That's just cruel to his health.
Yeah.
Keith Thurman probably KO him as well, even though I don't think he's a big puncher. Sean Porter doesn't hold a belt. That would be a tough fight again as well. Jeff Horn, that would just, stylistically, Jeff Horn would just be a nightmare for him. He'd just come forward all night. So, he needs the Brook fight for the money and just retire, mate, to be honest.
Lads, who wants to hear the trolling now? I found it on O'Hara Davis. Who wants to hear this?
Go for it, mate.
Here, this is some guy, some journalist quoting O'Hara at the press conference. Tom Barrell is a bum, he said. He then says, "I wear your fight purse on my wrist." Quiet start. To which I replied, "O'Hara Davies wears a purse on his wrist." And then this guy, Mark Curry, 26, replied, "Saying his watch is worth more than his purse." And then I replied to him, "But still, why does he wear a purse on his wrist like a watch? That's what I don't get." To which Two Real Boxing replies, "You serious?" To which I reply, "I thought boxers were supposed to be hard as nails. Never thought I would see one wearing a purse as a watch." To which Mark Curry replies,
"You're one of a kind."
To which Mark Curry replies, "Does fashion equal hard these days?" To which I reply,
you are a character, but I agree with you. Why is he wearing
to which I
as a watch?
To which I replied, "Does fashion equal hard these days?" To which I replied, "Hardest bastards I ever met all worked in the fashion industry." And then Two Real Boxing said, "Purse in boxing is the fighter's wage, and what's he trying to do is mug Tom off by saying his watch is worth as much as Tom's getting paid." To which I reply, "Fair enough, I understand that, but why did he need to wear a purse on his wrist to do that?" Makes no sense to me.
Quickly before we head off now. Andrew Selby's fighting.
So dumb.
Also, cool. He's in a world title eliminator. If anyone is,
who is
Andrew Selby?
Andrew Selby.
Oh yes, he's fighting. Is that this weekend?
Yeah, that's this weekend. Yeah.
Is that Friday night on BBC?
Yeah, Friday night. Your call, mate.
Seriously, will there be anybody left in Cyclone Promotions after all this? I think they're all going to be gone.
It is mine, mate. To be honest, that's what I said. Conrad Cummings just left. I think the only one they have is a female pro boxer, isn't it? I think. Yeah,
and they have Selby. They have the Selbys.
No,
Selby.
Lee Selby's not with them. I think he doesn't have a promoter yet. He has a manager, obviously Al Heyman, but he doesn't have a promoter as far as I know. Andrew Selby, I think he's not signed to Cyclone. I think he's working on a sort of fight as you pay as you fight or something like that. Whatever. He's working fight by fight basis basically. I don't think he's signed to Cyclone, as far as I know.
Barry McGuigan is going to be joining the IRA and the UVF and try and do a few bank jobs to get some money. You keep that shit going.
Well, but Barry's been looking after Carl Frampton's money. He's also been looking after Conrad Cummings' money. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So Uncle Bazza has not been the most faithful of uncles. Let's put it that way.
Because it's
surprise, isn't it?
There was an interview with Paddy Barnes, wasn't it? And he said, there's things I could say, but I would get arrested for. And I did wonder whether that was something to do with.
Paddy Barnes is a really, really close friend of Carl Frampton, isn't he? So, yeah. Probably advised him. And obviously he went to MTK, so he probably advised him to do that. So, maybe for the best. I mean, he was getting a bit stale with Barry, and obviously the fight got cancelled. So yeah, not the worst move to Uncle Frank, and hopefully he's obviously got him a big card in Belfast, and hopefully we get the third fight with Santa Cruz, or we get a fight with Gary Russell or Oscar Valdez. That would be a cracking fight. So yeah,
I'll tell you what the fights will be. It'll be Warrington, Frampton.
I hope not, because he was talking. Do you know what? I was watching the Frank Warren interview, and he was talking about Warrington, and I said, please no. Oh,
that'll definitely be there, lads. That'll be a big money fight, easy money fight for Frampton.
Yeah.
Easy to make. That's one of the reasons why Frampton went there. And he'll have Selby. Who else is there? Is there anybody else in that? Frank has actually kind of done good business there, because he's kind of sewn up that division in the Britain. Apart from Quigg, and who the fuck wants to watch Scott Quigg? Only this weirdo who keeps tweeting me after I slag him. I don't know who he is. Again, I've always given out about Scott Quigg, that he's a really exciting fighter to watch. Oh, put a gun to my fucking head. And but going to MTK, man, that MTK stuff, that is dodgy though. I'm just waiting for something to happen there. Those boys are linked to one of the biggest crime cartels in Ireland, the biggest one, and I think it's the Kinahans. And when they had was it Frank Warren's show that was in Dublin? I think it was. It was a Box Nation show in Dublin when they had the weigh-in, and the boys went in with fucking machine guns, dressed as cops, and shot a few guys in the middle of the weigh-in. Do you remember that?
Really?
Yeah, I think. I heard about that. I think I saw the video.
So look at it on YouTube. Because the boxer Jamie Kavanagh is an Irish fella. His father was killed in the gang war, and he was weighing in that day as well. And there was a reprisal. They knew Jamie Kavanagh's crowd to be there, and they went in. The boys went in dressed as cops, and they killed at least one guy. I think they killed 2 or 3, and then did a legger. No one was ever called for it. And apparently, that MTK Mac the Knife is being backed with a lot of money coming from. I think it's the Kinahan cartel, and they openly talk about it in the Irish press about the links between the cartel and that MTK. So that's. I don't even think I'm being libelous for once. So that.
I didn't know that.
You might get shot.
I think, but who fuck knows where Frank Warren's money originally came from. He looks like a man out of what do you call your man? Brick face, is it?
Yeah, I think Frank Warren. If you watch that film against about Lenny McLean, Lenny McLean, the gangster bare knuckle boxer, he's actually in that Frank Warren, not a character.
Well, he must be getting his money from somewhere. We have Eddie the Envelope, and we have Frank the Fiddler. So, we have two. They're doing definitely. So.
Frank the Fiddler, trademark Jetton.
You like that one? I know Irish likes that one. So that's just for you, mate. But
Frank's father was a butcher. What do you reckon he was butching?
I don't know, mate.
I'd say he was all types of stuff.
But yeah, on that note, guys, probably call it a night. Or we'll jump off. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. We've had a grand total of about 28 people at once. Not as big as the BG casual market, but
25 watching, 25 likes. So.
Yeah, well, we've been doing well. We've been doing well, so we've powered through it. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Lads, Jenna, at one stage it was 12 listening, 18 likes.
Yeah.
Fuck that gossip. That's an impossibility.
Everyone say there's only one BG, but there's only one Jet. So
there is only one hashtag.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you guys to both of you who've jumped on as well. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. And should we do one next week as well?
Why not?
The public wants it.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone's on it, then we're more than happy to do one next week as well. So we'll call it Go on Irish.
I was just going to say that the sex bot that usually comes into the chat called Carla hasn't appeared for this one yet. I missed her this week.
You know what? I'll do something for you.
Oh, there you go. You can turn on the bot for me.
Yeah. There you go. I've sent you a message, so it's fine.
Oh, thanks very much. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So take it easy, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in again. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a thumbs up. Go over to Gossip's channel. Give him a subscribe as well if you haven't done already. And we'll catch you guys next week. Take care, guys.
Hello.
Happy Wednesday. Rio takeover.
Rio takeover.